Within the writings of Anne Frank, we see through times of utmost conflict, she never compromised her faith in humanity. Through basic adolescent struggles, heartfelt declarations of love, and an attention to detail, the Diary of Anne Frank manages to be a universal, timeless, and relatable piece of literature. All the while, it still gives a factual, groundbreaking, first-hand account of what it was like to be a Jew in hiding during the Holocaust. In 1921, Adolf Hitler started the Nazi Party. This political movement focused on the belief that Europeans were the superior race. Though starting in the 20s, it wasn't until 1934 that Hitler was elected as Germany's head of state. At the peak of his regime, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party were active in their systematic attempt to kill off parts of the population, specifically Jewish people. Said to be inferior, Jewish people and their children were no longer allowed to attend school, keep pets, or even own a bicycle. They were sent to unsanitary, overpopulated ghettos with none of their personal belongings. By the year 1942, Jews in Germany, Amsterdam, and other Nazi-controlled countries were removed from these ghettos and sent to the concentration camps. Though nothing was for certain, word of the dangers of these camps became a whisper among the Jewish community. Within these masses of oppressed Jewish people, one of them happened to be the family of Anne Frank, a young girl about 13 years old. Anne lived with her mother, father, and older sister. After Hitler had taken control of their home in Frankfurt, the Frank family moved to Amsterdam. There, Anne's father, Otto Frank, successfully opened his business to support the family. It was in 1942 that Hitler again took control of her home. In June of 1942, Anne Frank's older sister, Margot, received a letter that she was to report to one of these camps for labor. Shortly after this, the Frank family would make a decision that would change their lives forever. In her diary, Anne makes sure to tell the reader that she is happy she brought the diary along. On September 28, 1942, she writes, "So far, you truly have been a great source of comfort to me, and now I can hardly wait for those moments when I am able to write in you. Oh, I'm so glad I brought you along." Where did she bring this diary? Into hiding, of course. After they had received the letter of her sister summoning, the Frank family went to hiding in an attic located behind Anne's father, Otto's, old business. Small and cramped, this attic was obviously a brewery for conflict, a self-proclaimed chatterbox, and had no problem using her voice and proclaiming her emotions. When referring to the other Jewish families that had went into hiding with her, she had very mixed opinions. On February 18, 1944, Anne wrote about a boy named Peter Van Pils. "Whenever I go upstairs, it's always so I can see him. Now that I have something to look forward to, my life here has improved greatly." In the midst of her persecution, she uses her diary to talk about school, teachers, friends, family, and drama. In one entry, she coins the term process of adolescence. In this passage, she states that despite the ongoing chaos and confusion of her world, she still finds time to feel, think, and act as a young adolescent woman. Despite the constant conflict of her life, on June 20th, 1942, Anne writes, "In spite of it all, life went on and things were still bearable." In regards to the short-term impact of the Diary of Anne Frank, there essentially was none. In 1944, the Frank family's hiding space was found and they were sent to concentration camps. In 1945, Anne died of typhus in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Though Anne has become another victim of the genocide of the Jewish peoples, it is safe to say that her memory most definitely lived on. In 1947, Otto Frank, the only survivor from the attic, was given Anne's diary by the shop owner, who had rescued it from the attic. After reading his daughter's diary, Otto was astonished by the pure innocence and faith Anne had showed within those pages. Shortly after, he had the diary published in 1947 under Anne's name. Like Otto, people were amazed at his young girl's hope for humanity during one of the most tragic periods in history. There were millions of young Jewish girls who fell victim to the Holocaust, and Anne Frank was truly no different from many of them. But that's the beauty of the situation. Forced to spend her most precious adolescent years in hiding from a totalitarian genocidal oppressor, she simply documented her personal relationship with the world. After a while, the Diary of Anne Frank became a piece of media of sorts. As Nazi propaganda had flooded the Germans during the peak of the Holocaust, the diary of a young girl was given to them in the aftermath. Through times of heartbreaking conflict, the Diary of Anne Frank shows it's still possible to live, love, and feel without ever compromising basic human goodness. An inspirational, independent young woman, Anne's personality portrayed universally good standards. These fundamentally good qualities easily showed through her writings, and because of this, the world learned a very important lesson: love.